I remember the day my whole life cracked like thin glass. I was standing in a big, cold office at the bank. The air smelled like paper and perfume. My hands were shaking so much that the pen almost fell from my fingers. The manager had just pushed a stack of papers toward me. "Ma'am, this account has been active for over 15 years, he said softly. "And your husband is the only one who can sign here, and here." I stared at the numbers on the paper. Zeros. So many zeros that my eyes went blurry. My husband, the man who always said we were poor, had a secret bank account. Not small money. Not little savings. It was enough to change our whole life. Enough to buy a house, a car, food for many years. Enough to give us the peaceful, happy retirement he promised me every night. But he never told me. Not once. In that moment, I felt like the floor moved under my feet. "Are you sure?" I whispered. Maybe this is a mistake." The manager shook his head. "No, ma'am. His name is right here. And there is something else." He flipped another page. I saw it. Another name. A woman's name. Beside it, the words, "Second beneficiary." My heart dropped. My husband didn't just hide money. He was planning a future without me. I gasped so loud that everyone in the bank turned to look at me. And right when I thought my heart could not break anymore, my phone buzzed. A message from my husband. "Don't go to the bank. I'll explain everything when I get home. Please, don't do anything stupid." How did he know I was there? Why did he sound afraid? Before I tell you what happened next, let me talk to you, the one listening to my story right now. If you are watching this, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I share real emotional stories like this to help people who feel alone. Click the like button so this story can reach more people. And please, go to the comments and tell me where you are watching from. Your city, your country. I want to know who is sitting with me tonight, because I don't want to feel alone in this. Now, let me go back to the beginning. To when I still trusted him. For most of my life, I believed my husband was a good man. He used to hold my tired hands at night and say, "Just wait, my love. When we retire, I'll take you somewhere quiet. We will rest. No more stress. I'll give you the happy ending you deserve." We lived in a small house with cracked walls. Rain leaked through the roof when the clouds got angry. Our bed squeaked if we moved too fast. The fridge sometimes went empty. But he always smiled and said the same thing. "We don't have much now. But I'm planning for our future. Trust me." So I trusted him. I worked hard. I cooked. I cleaned. I took care of the children. I saved every little coin. I told myself, one day, we will sit in a nice place. We will drink tea without worrying about the price of sugar. Sometimes I asked him, "Do we have some savings?" He always laughed and scratched his head. "Ah, you know how life is," he would say. "Bills, rent, school fees. Money comes in and runs away. But don't worry. I have a plan for our retirement." I believed every word. When my back hurt, he would rub it and say, "Soon, you won't have to carry heavy things again." When my shoes had holes, he said, "Don't waste money on shoes now. Save it. Later, I'll buy you a whole wardrobe." Later, 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 later became our favorite dream. The day of my retirement finally came. I had worked for many years in a small school. Kids hugged me. Teachers cried. They gave me a little envelope with a small gift and a cake with my name on it. I smiled, but my heart was beating fast. This is it, I told myself. The life he promised will start now. I went home, holding the cake like it was a treasure. I imagined him waiting for me with flowers. Maybe he would say, "Pack your bags. We're traveling." Maybe he would show me the house he secretly bought for us. The life he had been planning. Instead, when I opened the door, I found him sitting at the table with his phone. No flowers. No surprise. He looked up and forced a smile. "Welcome, my retired lady," he said. "How was it?" I tried to hide the disappointment in my eyes. "It was fine," I said. "They gave me a small retirement package." His eyes shone for a second when he heard the word, package. "How much?" he asked quickly. My heart flinched. He did not even ask how I felt. Only how much. I told him the amount. He whistled. "That's good. You should put it in the bank. It will help us. You know things are hard." "Us," I repeated in my heart. "Always us. But why does it feel like just him?" That night, while I was lying in bed, I heard his voice coming from the living room. He was talking on the phone. His voice was low, like he didn't want me to hear. "Yes. I told her about the retirement money. No, she has no idea. Trust me, everything is under control. Just wait a little longer." My chest tightened. She. Who is she? What is under control? I sat up and listened harder. But the more I tried to hear, the softer his voice became. The next morning, I asked him, "Who were you talking to last night?" He shrugged. "Just a friend from work. Stop worrying. This is your time to rest. You think too much." He kissed my forehead. But my heart did not feel calm. A few weeks later, a letter came from the bank. It was addressed to him, but I was the one who received it. The envelope was thick. Important. My fingers tingled as I held it. I knew I should not open it. But something inside me whispered, "He is hiding something from you." When he came home, I watched him as he opened the envelope. His eyes moved quickly over the paper. Then his face changed. He folded the letter and pushed it deep into his bag. "Is everything okay?" I asked. "Everything is fine," he said too fast. "Just bank nonsense." He walked away before I could ask more. That night, when he slept, I sat on the floor beside his bag. My hands shook. My heart hammered against my chest. I unzipped the bag and pulled out the folded letter. It was from the bank. But it was not nonsense. It was a reminder. A reminder about a fixed deposit account in his name. With a very large amount of money. Money I had never heard about. Money he never told me about. Money that could have helped when we were hungry. When the children needed books. When I went to bed crying because we had nothing. My head spun. I felt like I was looking at a stranger's secret life. The next day, when he left for work, I made a decision. I put on my best dress, the one I saved for weddings. I took the bus to the bank whose name was on the letter. My fingers held that paper like it was a key. When I got there, I showed the letter to the woman at the front desk. "Please," I said. "I need to understand this." They took me to the manager. He checked the account on his computer. Then he printed out the statement and put it on the table in front of me. That was the moment my world broke. The hidden account. The huge money. The other woman's name as second beneficiary. I stared and whispered. He promised me a happy retirement. Why would he do this to me? I felt tears burning my eyes when my phone buzzed with his message. "Don't go to the bank. I'll explain everything when I get home. Please, don't do anything stupid." Slowly, I lifted my head and looked at the manager. "Sir," I asked with a weak voice, "if something happens to my husband, who gets this money?" He tapped the paper. "First, your husband," he said. "If he is gone, it goes to the beneficiary, or the second beneficiary listed here." "So," I swallowed, my throat dry. "If something happens to him, I might get nothing." He hesitated. Then he nodded. "In this case, yes, ma'am. You might get nothing." The room began to spin. He wasn't just hiding money. He was planning a future where I didn't exist. My hand started to shake so badly that I dropped the paper on the floor. And at that exact moment, my phone rang. It was not a message. It was a call. His name flashed on the screen. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand, stared at his name, and for the first time in my life, I didn't know whether to answer my own husband or let it ring. Because a terrible thought had just entered my mind. What if this money, and that other name, mean he is planning to replace me? My finger hovered over the green button. The phone kept ringing. And then, right before I could decide, the call cut off. A new message appeared on the screen. One short line that made my heart stop, and made me realize my life was in much more danger than I thought. If you already saw the account, then you must leave the house before I get home. I read that message again and again. If you already saw the account, then you must leave the house before I get home. My hands were cold. My mouth was dry. I sat on the chair inside the bank like my legs had forgotten how to work. Leave the house? Why would my own husband tell me to leave my own home? I slowly stood up and walked outside. The sun was bright, people were laughing, cars were passing by like nothing was wrong. But inside me, everything was falling apart. I called him back. No answer. I sent a message. Why should I leave? What is happening? Please explain. No reply. I felt a strong fear rise in my chest. This was not about money anymore. This was about safety. About secrets. About lies that had grown too big. I took a bus home, my heart beating fast the whole way. When I reached our street, I noticed something strange. His car was already there. But he said he was coming later. My stomach turned. I stayed on the bus and watched from the window as it drove past my house. My hands were shaking. He came home early. Something told me not to go inside yet. I got down at the next stop and walked slowly back, keeping to the side of the road like a stranger in my own life. When I reached the gate, it was open. That made my heart race. I stood outside, listening. I could hear him inside, talking loudly. But he was not on the phone. There was another voice. A woman's voice. I froze. No, I whispered to myself. No, no, no. I pressed closer to the door and listened. You said she wouldn't find out, the woman said sharply. I didn't plan for this, he snapped back. She went to the bank on her own. My knees felt weak. So it was true. There's nothing to worry about, he continued. She's old. Confused. I'll calm her down. The woman laughed. Just make sure she doesn't touch that money. That money is for our future. I covered my mouth to stop myself from crying out loud. Our future. What about the life I gave him? The years. The promises? I slowly stepped back, my heart screaming inside my chest. At that moment, my phone vibrated. A message from him. Where are you? We need to talk. I didn't reply. I turned around and walked away as fast as my old legs could carry me. That night, I stayed at my sister's house. She looked at me with worry when she opened the door. What happened to you? She asked. You look like you've seen death. I broke down. I told her everything. The promises. The secret money. The bank. The other woman. She held my hands tightly. I always knew something was wrong with that man, she said. You cannot go back there tonight. But that's my house, I cried. That's my husband. She shook her head. That man you married does not exist anymore. Or maybe, he never did. Her words hurt, but deep down, I knew they were true. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every small sound made me jump. I kept seeing his face in my mind. His calm smile. The same smile he used while lying to me for years. Around midnight, my phone rang. It was him. I stared at the screen for a long time, then answered. Where are you? He asked, trying to sound calm. Why were you with another woman in our house? I asked quietly. Silence. Then he sighed. You're misunderstanding things. I heard you, I said. I heard everything. His voice changed. You shouldn't be listening to things that don't concern you, he said sharply. My heart skipped a beat. Don't concern me? I repeated. You hid money from me. You planned your future with another woman. You told me to leave my own house. Lower your voice, he said. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. After all these years. I trusted you, I said, my voice breaking. I worked. I suffered. I waited for that happy retirement you promised. And you will still be taken care of, he replied quickly. Just not the way you are imagining. Those words chilled me. What does that mean? I asked. He paused. Then he said something I will never forget. You should be grateful I didn't leave you with nothing. I felt like someone stabbed my heart. So the money was never for me? I asked. Another pause. Then softly he said, that money is for people who understand me. I hung up. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. He stopped calling. No messages. No apologies. It was like he was waiting. I felt trapped between anger and fear. I wanted answers, but I also felt something dark hiding behind his calm voice. Then one morning, another letter came. This one was addressed to me. From the bank. My hands trembled as I opened it. It said that there was a request to change the beneficiary details on one of my joint retirement accounts, and my husband had signed it. Without my knowledge. Without my permission. He was moving fast. He was preparing something. I rushed to the bank again. The same manager looked surprised to see me. Ma'am, he said gently. We tried to call you. Please, I said. Tell me the truth. What is my husband doing? He looked around, then lowered his voice. There is a large transfer scheduled, he said. Most of the funds will be moved out of the country. My chest tightened. When? I asked. Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. By tomorrow, everything would be gone. And, he added carefully, there is also a document waiting to be signed. What document? He slid a paper across the table. It was titled, Spousal Consent Waiver. My eyes widened. If I signed it, I would lose any right to question the money. I didn't ask for this, I said quickly. I know, the manager replied. But your husband said you already agreed. I felt dizzy. That evening, as I sat alone in my sister's guest room, staring at the wall, my phone buzzed again. A message from him. Let's end this peacefully. Come home tonight. We will sign the papers together. No drama. No drama. After stealing my future. I typed slowly. If I don't sign, what happens? The reply came almost immediately. Then things might become uncomfortable for you. My heart started pounding. Uncomfortable how? Before I could think more, I heard a knock at the door. My sister was not home. I stood up slowly and walked toward the door. Another knock. Louder this time. I looked through the small window. My breath stopped. It was him. Standing outside. Smiling. As if nothing was wrong. And behind him, just a few steps away, stood the same woman I heard in my house. Holding a folder. And staring straight at me. I stood behind the door, my heart beating so loudly I was sure they could hear it. Through the small window, I saw his smile again. The same calm smile he used when he said, "Trust me." Now, it felt dangerous. He knocked once more. "Open the door," he said gently. "Let's talk like adults." Behind him, the woman shifted her weight. She looked confident. Too confident. She held the folder tightly, like it was more valuable than me. "I know you're there," he added. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." I took a deep breath and opened the door a little. "What do you want?" I asked. He stepped closer. "We need to finish what you started at the bank." The woman finally spoke. "We don't have much time." That sentence sent cold fear through me. I did not invite them in, but they pushed past me anyway. They sat on the couch like they owned the place. The woman opened the folder and began laying papers on the table, neat and organized. "These are simple documents," she said. "Sign them, and everything will be settled." I looked down. The words felt heavy on my eyes. Waiver, transfer, consent. All words that meant I lose. "I will not sign anything," I said firmly. My husband sighed like I was a difficult child. "Listen," he said, lowering his voice. "You are old. You are tired. This money will confuse you. Let us manage it." I stared at him. "You promised me a happy retirement," I said slowly. "You said that money was for us." He avoided my eyes. "I promised peace," he replied. "And peace is easier if you don't interfere." The woman smiled. "You should be thankful," she said. "Many women your age are already forgotten." Something snapped inside me. "Leave my house," I shouted. "Both of you. Now." My husband stood up. His voice lost all warmth. "You don't understand the position you're in," he said. "If you don't cooperate, you will lose everything. This house, the accounts, even the little pension you receive." My throat tightened. "You can't do that," I whispered. He leaned closer. "I already am." They left after that, but not before he said one thing that stayed with me. "You have till tomorrow morning," he said at the door. "After that, I won't be able to help you." The door closed. And just like that, I was alone again. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept reading the papers they left behind. Some words I didn't understand, but one thing was clear. He was rushing because he was afraid. Afraid of something. Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. A new message. From an unknown number. "You need to check the safe in your house. He never told you about it." My heart nearly stopped. A safe. I reread the message again and again. Who sent this? The woman. A friend. Someone watching? My mind raced. I waited until morning. When the house was quiet, I walked slowly to the bedroom. I remembered something. Years ago, he once yelled at me for touching the old wooden cupboard near the wall. "Don't open that," he had shouted. "It's weak." I never touched it again. Now, I went straight there. I moved the cupboard aside. Behind it was a small metal door in the wall. A safe. My knees trembled. I touched it. Locked. I looked around the room, then checked his drawer. Inside a small box, I found a key taped beneath it. My hands shook as I tried the key. Click. The safe opened. Inside were documents. More bank statements. Foreign accounts. Property papers. And then, something that made my blood freeze. A legal document. Titled, Revocation of Spousal Rights. Draft. Not signed yet. But prepared. Prepared to erase me. Tears rolled down my face. This wasn't just betrayal. This was planning. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. He is not just hiding money. He is hiding time. Check the date. I wiped my tears and looked at the document again. At the bottom. A date. Tomorrow. Tomorrow was when everything would be finalized. I felt weak. But then, something else caught my eye inside the safe. A smaller envelope. I opened it. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. Not by him. By someone else. It said, "If she ever finds this, then it means you failed. She deserves to know the truth about how this money started, and who it originally belonged to." My heart thumped. How this money started. Who it originally belonged to. Just then, I heard a sound. A key turning in the front door. My husband was coming home. Too early. And I was still standing there, with the safe open behind me and the letter shaking in my hands. The key turned slowly in the door. I froze. My heart was beating so fast I thought it would burst out of my chest. I looked at the open safe behind me. The papers. The letter in my hand. There was no time to hide everything. The door opened wider. "Are you home?" his voice called out. I wiped my tears quickly and closed the safe. My hands were shaking so badly it took me 2 tries to lock it. I pushed the cupboard back in front of it just as his footsteps reached the bedroom. He stood there, looking at me. His eyes moved around the room. Then they stopped on my face. "You look pale," he said. "Are you sick?" I held the letter behind my back. "No," I replied. "Just tired." He stepped closer. Too close. "You should rest," he said softly. "Tomorrow will be a long day." Tomorrow. That word felt heavy. When he finally left the room, I locked the door and slid down to the floor, breathing hard. I opened the letter again and read it carefully, this time slowly. "If she ever finds this, then it means you failed. She deserves to know the truth about how this money started, and who it originally belonged to." The handwriting was neat. Careful. Like someone who wanted to be understood. At the bottom, there was a name. A man's name. Not my husband's. My chest tightened. So the money was never his. That night at dinner, he acted normal. Too normal. He served my food. Asked if I needed more water. Even smiled at me like before. "I've been thinking," he said calmly. "After tomorrow, we can finally have peace." I looked at him. "What do you mean, after tomorrow?" He took a slow sip of water. "Once the transfers are done and the papers are signed," he said, "there will be no more stress. No more fighting. No more me questioning you," I thought. "And if I don't sign?" I asked. His smile did not change. "Then you will force me to make difficult choices," he replied. Fear crawled up my spine. Later that night, while he slept, I took the letter and the documents I copied from the safe and hid them inside my clothes bag. I needed help. I needed truth. At dawn, I quietly left the house and went straight to the address written at the bottom of the letter. It led me to an old building near the edge of town. A place that looked like it held secrets. I knocked on the door. An old man opened. He looked at me for a long time. Then his eyes widened. "So," he said softly, "you are the wife." "Yes," I replied. "Please, tell me the truth." He sighed and stepped aside. Inside, the room smelled of old books and dust. The man sat down slowly. "That money," he began, "belongs to your husband's brother." I gasped. "My husband told everyone his brother died with nothing," I whispered. "That was the lie," the man said. "His brother made that money before he disappeared. Your husband was only meant to keep it safe." "To keep it safe?" My voice shook. He nodded. "But greed is powerful," he continued. "Your husband changed names, moved accounts, and slowly made it look like his." I felt sick. "And the woman?" I asked. "She is helping him finish what he started," the old man said. "Once the money leaves the country, it will be impossible to trace." My hands trembled. "And me?" I asked quietly. "What happens to me?" The man looked me straight in the eye. "If you sign those papers, you disappear from the story." As I left the building, my phone rang. It was my husband. "Where are you?" he asked sharply. "I went for a walk," I replied, trying to stay calm. "You have one last chance," he said. "Meet me at the bank this afternoon." "And if I don't?" I asked. There was silence. Then he said quietly, "Then the truth will bury you before it helps you." The call ended. I reached my sister's house and collapsed on the couch. She held my hands as I told her everything. "The money isn't even his," I cried. "He stole it." Her face hardened. "Then he is scared," she said. "And scared people make mistakes." Just then, another message came to my phone. From the unknown number again. The bank meeting is a trap. He is rushing because police questions are coming. My breath caught. Police. Before I could respond, another message followed. If you want the truth to win, don't go alone. Bring the letter. I stared at the screen. The bank meeting. The documents. The police. Everything was moving fast now. Too fast. And if I made one wrong step, I could lose not just the money, but my freedom. My phone buzzed again. A final message. From my husband. I am waiting. Don't make me regret marrying you. I looked at the time. I had less than 1 hour. 1 hour to decide whether to walk into the bank or walk into a trap. I sat in my sister's house, staring at my phone. 1 hour. That was all I had. Outside, the world looked normal. Birds flew. Children laughed somewhere down the street. But inside me, fear and anger were fighting each other. He is trying to scare you, my sister said firmly. That man thinks you are weak. But what if he isn't? I asked. What if the bank meeting really is a trap? She took my hands and looked straight into my eyes. Then you don't walk in blind, she said. You walk in prepared. Before leaving, I placed the letter, the copied documents, and my ID into my bag. My sister insisted on coming with me, but my heart felt heavy. If he sees you, he may change his story, I said. I need him to think I am alone. She didn't like it, but she agreed. Before I stepped out, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Good. Go to the bank. Talk only when asked. Let him speak first. My chest tightened. Who was this person helping me? And why did they sound like they knew exactly what would happen? At the bank, the air felt thicker than usual. People sat quietly. Pens scratched on paper. A clock ticked loudly on the wall. Then I saw him. He was already there, wearing his best suit, smiling. Beside him, the woman. She held the same folder as before. When he saw me, he stood up. There you are, he said, like a loving husband. I was worried. Liar. We are here to finish things peacefully, the woman added. The bank manager appeared and led us into a private office. As soon as the door closed, my husband's smile disappeared. Sit, he said coldly. The papers were placed in front of me. All you need to do is sign, the manager said, carefully avoiding my eyes. I looked down at the page. Then I looked up. I will not sign, I said. My husband leaned forward. Don't do this, he whispered. You know what will happen if you embarrass me here. I opened my bag and pulled out the letter. I know the money was not yours, I said loudly. The room went silent. The woman's face changed. The manager frowned. What do you mean, ma'am? I placed the letter on the table. I was told the truth, I said, my voice shaking but strong. This money belonged to your brother. You were only meant to protect it. My husband's face turned pale. That's a lie, he said quickly. She's confused. I reached into my bag again and pulled out the copied documents. Foreign accounts. Property papers. Transfers, I said. All prepared in secret. The manager began flipping through the papers. The woman stood up suddenly. This is nonsense, she snapped. We are done here. But the manager raised his hand. Sit down, he said sharply. My husband stared at me with pure anger. You think this changes anything? He hissed. Before I could reply, another voice spoke. Actually, it changes everything. We all turned. 2 men in plain clothes walked into the room. Police. My breath caught. Sir, one officer said calmly, looking at my husband. We have some questions regarding funds linked to a missing person. The woman tried to step back. One officer stopped her. Ma'am, please stay. My husband slowly stood up. You have no proof, he said, trying to sound confident. I opened my mouth to speak, but the officer beat me to it. "We do," he said. "We were waiting to see who would move the money today." My legs felt weak. So it was true. They were watching. My husband turned to me, his eyes burning. "You did this," he whispered. I met his gaze. "No," I said quietly. "You did." The officers asked him and the woman to follow them. As they were being led away, he turned back one last time. "This is not over," he said. "You don't know who else will come asking questions." That sentence stayed with me. Because his voice wasn't angry. It was afraid. After they left, the manager sat heavily in his chair. "Ma'am," he said, "you may have just stopped something very serious." I nodded, but my hands were still shaking. Outside the bank, my sister hugged me tightly. "You were brave," she whispered. But inside my chest, I felt no victory. Only fear. Because deep down, I knew something was still missing. The letter talked about how the money started, but it did not explain why the brother disappeared. That night, while I was trying to rest, my phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. "He didn't tell you everything. Check the brother's file. The truth is uglier." My heart sank. Uglier than this. Then a second message came. "And now, he knows you are not afraid anymore." I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. If he was free on bail. If his brother was missing. And if the money was cursed with secrets. I didn't sleep that night. The words from that message kept playing in my head. The truth is uglier. What could be uglier than hiding money, lying for years, and trying to erase your own wife? At sunrise, I made a decision. If I wanted peace, I needed the whole truth. Not pieces. I went back to the old building where I met the old man. This time, the door was already open. That alone made my heart jump. Inside, the place was quiet. Too quiet. "Hello," I called out. No answer. I stepped further in and found the old man sitting in his chair, staring at the table. A thick file lay in front of him. "She came," he said without looking up. "You knew I would," I replied. He nodded and pushed the file toward me. "Your husband's brother," he said. "This is his file. The one everyone pretended didn't exist." My hands shook as I opened it. Photographs. Receipts. Handwritten notes. And a photo that made my chest hurt. Two young men standing side by side. Brothers. Smiling. One of them was my husband. The other, I had never seen before. "He was kind," the old man said softly. "Too trusting." I swallowed hard. "What happened to him?" I asked. The old man looked up at me then. "Officially," he said, "he disappeared." My fingers tightened around the file. "And unofficially?" I whispered. The old man leaned forward. "He wanted his money back." The words hit me like a slap. "He trusted your husband to keep it safe while he planned to leave the country," the old man continued. "When he returned earlier than expected, the money was gone." My mouth went dry. "What did my husband tell him?" I asked. "That you knew nothing," the old man said. "That you were sick. That you wouldn't understand." Tears filled my eyes. "And when his brother threatened to report him?" I asked. The room felt very still. The old man answered slowly. "He vanished 3 weeks later." My heart pounded. "You mean?" "I mean," the old man cut in gently, "no body was found. No proof. But money does not disappear without leaving blood on someone's hands." I covered my mouth. My husband wasn't just a liar. He was dangerous. When I left the building, my legs felt weak. I couldn't breathe properly. I sat on a bench outside, holding the file tight against my chest. Then my phone rang. His name. I stared at it, fear rising in my throat. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Why are you digging?" he asked calmly. You stole from your own brother, I said, my voice shaking. Silence. Then a quiet laugh. You always think you know more than you do, he said. Where is he? I demanded. Another pause. That's not your business, he replied coldly. And if you are smart, you will stop asking questions. You threatened me once, I said. You won't do it again. You're wrong, he said softly. Because now you know too much. The call ended. That evening, the police came to my sister's house. 2 officers. Serious faces. They asked me questions about my husband. About the money. About the brother. We believe the disappearance and the funds are connected, one officer said. My heart raced. Is he in custody? I asked. Not anymore, the officer replied. My blood ran cold. He posted bail this afternoon. Fear wrapped around my chest like a tight rope. The officers exchanged looks. We advise you to be careful, the other officer said. And do not meet him alone. After they left, my sister locked every door. That night, as I sat in the dark, staring at the window, I felt something strange. Like I was being watched. I reached for my phone. Another message appeared. Same unknown number. He is not after the money anymore. My fingers trembled. Another message followed. He is after you. Just then, headlights flashed outside the window. A car stopped slowly in front of the house. The engine stayed running. My sister whispered from behind me. Who is that? I peered through the curtain. My heart stopped. It was his car. And this time, he was alone. The car sat there. Engine running. Lights on. Not moving. I felt my whole body go cold. My sister grabbed my arm. Call the police, she whispered. But something inside me knew. He wasn't there by accident. He wanted me to see him. My phone buzzed. A message from him. Come outside. We need to talk. Just you and me. I swallowed hard. I won't go, my sister said quickly. He's dangerous. Before I could reply, another message came. If you don't come out, I'll come in. My heart jumped. I imagined him forcing the door open. His calm face. His cold voice. I typed with shaking hands. Leave. The police are involved. A few seconds passed. Then another message. That's exactly why we need to talk. I took a deep breath. I'll talk to him, I said to my sister. But not alone. She shook her head. No. I won't let him inside, I said. I'll stay by the gate. Call the police if anything feels wrong. She didn't like it, but she nodded. Outside, the night air felt heavy. I stopped a few steps away from the car. He opened the door and stepped out. Up close, he looked different. Older. Tired. But his eyes were sharp. You look well, he said. You look desperate, I replied. He smiled thinly. You ruined everything, he said. You should have signed the papers. You stole from your brother, I said. And now the police know. He leaned closer. They know some things, he whispered. Not everything. I felt fear rise, but I stayed still. What do you want from me now? I asked. He sighed. I want this to stop, he said. No more banks. No more police. No more letters. And how do you want that? I asked. He looked at me for a long moment. By you leaving, he said. Leaving the city. Changing your name. Disappearing. My blood ran cold. You want me to vanish like your brother? I asked. His jaw tightened. Don't say his name. So it's true, I said. You made him disappear. His eyes flashed. You're not as smart as you think, he snapped. And you're forgetting something. What? I asked. He pointed at the house. I know where you live. I know where your sister lives. I know every weakness you have. My heart raced. This isn't a threat, he added calmly. It's an offer. An offer to silence me, I said. Yes, he replied without shame. Suddenly, headlights appeared at the end of the street. A car slowed. My sister whispered through the window, "Police car." I saw his face change. "You talked," he hissed. "They warned me about you," I said. I listened. He stepped back, anger burning in his eyes. "This won't protect you forever," he said. "People get tired. Cases go cold." Before I could reply, he got into the car. As he drove away, he lowered the window and said one last thing that froze my blood. "You don't know what I already erased." I went inside shaking. My sister locked the door again. I collapsed onto the couch. "He wanted me gone," I whispered. "Like I never existed." She held me tightly. "He's scared," she said. "That means the truth is close." But her words didn't calm me. Because that night, another message came. Same unknown number. "He just made a mistake." My heart pounded. Another message followed immediately. "He came to you because he is running out of time." I stared at the screen. Running out of time for what? The final message answered. The brother left a recording. And it names you as the witness he never expected. My breath caught. A recording. Proof. Evidence. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice said quietly, "Ma'am, we found something. We need you to come in. Right now." I looked at my sister. My hands were shaking. "What did you find?" I asked. There was a pause. Then he said. A voice from a man who was never supposed to speak again. The police station felt colder than the night outside. I sat in a small room, my hands folded tightly on my lap. My sister sat beside me, holding my arm like she was afraid I might disappear. A detective placed a small recorder on the table. "We found this hidden inside a storage unit linked to your husband," he said. "It was registered years ago, under his brother's name." My heart began to pound. "Is he alive?" I whispered. The detective paused. "We don't know," he said carefully. "But this recording explains why he vanished." He pressed a button. A low crackling sound filled the room. Then, a man's voice. Weak. Slow. But clear. "If you're hearing this," the voice said, "then it means I was right not to trust him." Tears filled my eyes. It was his brother. "I gave my money to my brother to keep safe," the voice continued. "I planned to come back in 2 years. When I returned early, he told me the money was gone." The room was silent except for the recording. "He begged me not to report him," the brother said. "He said his wife knew nothing, that she was innocent. Please, believe that." My hand flew to my mouth. "He knew. He started watching me," the voice went on, "threatening me, telling me to stay quiet. I don't know how long I can hide." The voice shook. "If something happens to me, the money did not vanish. He moved it. And if you find this, protect his wife. She does not deserve to be punished for my mistake." I broke down crying. Even in fear, this man thought about me. The recording clicked off. The detective leaned forward. "This changes everything," he said. "It proves intent, theft, and a serious threat." "Did my husband hear this recording?" I asked. "Yes," the detective replied. "Based on file dates, he accessed it once, 3 years ago." My blood ran cold. So he knew. He knew his brother left proof. And still he moved the money. Still he lied to me. Just then, an officer rushed into the room. "Sir," he said quickly, "we just lost track of him." "What do you mean?" the detective asked. "Your husband," the officer said. "He didn't return after his last check-in." My heart dropped. "He ran." I whispered. The officer nodded. And there's more, he added. His car was found abandoned. Fear crashed over me like a wave. The detective looked at me seriously. He knows the recording exists now, he said. Which means he may come to you again. When we returned to my sister's house, police cars were already outside. Officers were watching the street. That should have made me feel safe. But it didn't. Late that night, while everyone slept, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You heard his brother. Now you know the truth. My hands shook. Another message came. But there is something the recording did not say. I stared at the screen. What could be worse? Then the final message appeared. He didn't disappear. He was forced to disappear. I stopped breathing. Before I could react, my phone rang. A private number. I answered slowly. A familiar voice spoke on the other end. Low. Controlled. Too calm. You should have taken my offer, my husband said. Now I have no choice. My heart raced. What do you want? I asked. He laughed softly. I want you to come and hear the rest of the story, he said. The part my brother never recorded. Where? I asked, my voice barely steady. He paused. Then he said something that made my knees weak. In the place where everything started. The line went dead. And in that moment, I realized the danger was no longer about money. It was about survival. I didn't want to go. Every part of my body screamed no. But the words he said kept echoing in my head. The part my brother never recorded. If I didn't hear it, would he come for me anyway? The police wanted me to stay hidden. My sister cried and begged me not to move. But deep down, I knew this was the last door. If I didn't open it, he would keep finding ways back into my life. So I made a choice. I told the police everything. About the call, about the place where everything started. They didn't like it, but they understood one thing clearly. He wanted control. And control needs an audience. The place was an old warehouse near the river. Abandoned. Quiet. Forgotten. Police vehicles stayed far away. Hidden. I wore a small wire under my clothes. My heart pounding so hard I thought it would give me away. When I stepped inside, the smell of rust and cold water hit me. Then I saw him. Standing in the shadows. Waiting. You came, he said, stepping forward. I didn't come alone, I replied, hoping he didn't hear the fear in my voice. He smiled. You always thought courage was your weakness, he said. But it was your strength. That's why I had to keep you small. The words hurt more than any slap. Why bring me here? I asked. Why now? He looked around slowly. This is where my brother first counted the money, he said. This is where he trusted me. My chest tightened. And where is he now? I asked. His smile faded. He didn't die, he said quietly. I froze. He begged, my husband continued. He begged me not to take everything. He begged me not to destroy my own wife. My hands trembled. So what did you do? I asked. His eyes darkened. I buried him alive, he said. The world stopped. The wire under my clothes felt heavy. Tears streamed down my face. You're lying, I whispered. He shook his head. He's out there somewhere, he continued calmly. No name. No past. No money. Just breathing. My legs felt weak. You told me to retire peacefully, I said through my tears. You promised me happiness. I needed you quiet, he replied. I needed a life that looked clean. Suddenly, he stepped closer. But you talked, he said. You listened. You broke the silence. I heard a faint sound in my ear. The police. They were listening. You want the truth, he said, leaning in. The truth is, I was never afraid of losing the money. My heart raced. I was afraid of losing you as my cover. I stepped back. Before I could speak, he reached into his jacket. I screamed. Lights flooded the building. Police. Drop it. Officers rushed in from every direction. He froze. His face twisted. So this is how it ends, he said softly. He dropped what he was holding. Handcuffs clicked around his wrists. As they pulled him away, he turned and looked at me. You will never sleep peacefully again, he said. Because he's still alive. The officers led him out. I collapsed to the floor, shaking. The detective knelt beside me. It's over, he said. But I knew. It wasn't. Because his last words were true. If his brother was alive, someone out there was still suffering because of him. The courtroom was quiet. Too quiet. I sat on the wooden bench, my hands folded, listening as the judge read out the words that would end everything. My husband stood in front of me, no longer confident, no longer smiling. Just a small man trapped by his own lies. He was found guilty. Guilty of theft. Guilty of fraud. Guilty of destroying lives to protect himself. And finally, guilty of what he did to his own brother. The sentence was long. Long enough to make sure he would never hurt anyone again. When they took him away, he didn't look at me. Not once. Weeks later, the police found his brother. Alive. Weak. But alive. He was living far away, with no name, no papers, no past. Just fear. Fear that followed him every day. When I saw him in the hospital, he cried. I'm sorry, he said. I brought this pain into your life. I held his hand. You saved me, I replied. Even when you were suffering. The stolen money was returned. Not all of it. But enough. Enough for a quiet life. Enough for peace. Enough for the retirement I was promised, but never given. Now, I wake up each morning in a small, peaceful home. I drink my tea slowly. I sleep without fear. I no longer wait for promises. Because I finally learned something powerful. A happy retirement is not given by lies. It is taken back by truth. And if you're watching this story right now, please like this video so more people can hear it. Subscribe to the channel for more deep, emotional, life-changing stories like this. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And please, go to the comments and tell me, where are you watching from? Did this story touch your heart? Your support keeps these stories alive. Thank you for listening.